Hello, station students. We are going to review the making of 1.5-inch cube with hole, the second part in our 5 parts. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start a new project. Make sure you go up to File, New, and open a new project, which is the page that I am on now. Once you have your new file open, I always like to begin by saving it. So go up to File, Save As, and we are going to name this project our 1-5-inch cube with hole. Make sure that you have it saved under your files, your folder, and click Save. You know that it's saved since the name is in the top left corner up here. Now, to begin, we're going to start just by the same way we made our 1.5-inch cube, the project before this. So, we're going to grab our rectangle. Oh, I forgot, even before that, I can delete my person there, so they're out of the way. Grab our rectangle. I always like to start at the origin of the 3 axes, so make sure you find where the mouse snaps to the center. And remember, click and release the mouse. You'll start to see an outline of our box. And since this is going to be an 1.5-inch cube, I'm going to type in, down with my dimensions down at the bottom, 1.5 inches, comma, 1.5 inches. Then hit enter. Remember, don't move the mouse after you type, otherwise you'll change your measurements. After you hit enter, you might think that you can't see your box, that it's not there, but it's just very small down here. So to recenter on that, we come over and we click on our Zoom Extents tool, and that will center our project. Now that we have our 1.5-inch 2-dimensional outline, I'm going to rotate it just a little so we can see it. I'm going to pull it up to our 1.5 inch. So I find my press and pull tool. We click on that. We click once and release, and I start to pull up, and I'm going to type in my dimensions, 1.5 inches, and then enter. Again, it is out of our view, so I can click my Zoom Extents or scroll. It's a little large, so I'm going to zoom out just a little more so I can see it better. So now we have in our 1.5-inch cube, it looks similar to our first square, but now what we're going to do is we're going to put a hole through it, right through the top. So to make sure that I'm centered on my top, I like to use my Views toolbar, which is up here, the different views of the houses. Find the one that says Top View, and once we click that, it'll direct our view exactly from the top view. Now it's easy to find our center. To make sure that we have the correct hole, we're going to start with our Circle tool. So come over to the toolbar and grab our Circle tool. Now we have to find the center. So this gets a little trickier. What we need to do is we're going to hover our mouse over this edge. Notice it says on edge, and I'm just going to drag it across until it tells me that I am at the midpoint, which means I'm at the center of that line. Now, as I start dragging my mouse down, you're trying to look for the center of the box, but the software does not know you're trying to find the center until you reference the other edge. So now that we've found the center on the top, we have to hover over the side edge and scroll down until we find the midpoint on the side. Now, since we've referenced both midpoints, as we come over, it should stop right when we're at the center of our box. And you'll see you have both of the midpoints highlighted and you're at the center of the cube. If you click there and start to pull out, you know you're exactly at the center of the top of your box. Now we have to type in how large we want this hole. So this is going to be 3/8 of an inch, or in decimal form we're going to type 0.375 and then enter. That is the size of our hole. Now right now it is only on the top of our cube. It's not going through. What I like to do is rotate just a little so I get a better perspective and see the top and the side of my cube. And I'm rotating by holding down my scroll wheel on my mouse. It allows me to rotate the same as using this rotate tool or orbit tool over here. So since I want to push through the center of this hole, I need to find my push-pull tool on my toolbars. I'm going to come over and I'm going to click once in the center of this circle. And now it'll start moving. I can either go up or down, and I want to push through all the way to the bottom. Now, as I pull the mouse down, it goes further and further. I kind of lose sight of it, but if you bring your mouse down, you'll see it starts to extrude through the bottom of it. You've got to make sure your mouse stops right on the edge of your cube, and that's how it knows that it wants to stop there rather than extend any feature beyond that. So if I click there and I rotate just a little more, you'll notice I have a hole through the center. Now you can also do it this route, where if I undo that, I'm going to click on the top, but if I start at the top of my hole, click and release, and I'm pulling down, if you happen to be able to see the bottom of the cube, this edge right here, if you get it right where it says on face and click there, it does the same thing. Otherwise, it's a little tricky to tell it where to stop cutting through your hole. Now as I rotate, you'll see that's a hole going all the way through my cube. Now I'm going to go back to my selection tool and back to my ISO so I get a better perspective. It's easy to click on your ISO perspective view up at the top. So I'm back at my ISO view. Now we have a cube with a hole in it, which is great. But what we're going to do next is we're going to start to color it. Now for this cube, we want them colored specific sides, specific colors for when we start to assemble them later. So I'm going to make the top and bottom green. To do that, I'm going to find my paint bucket on the toolbar over here. Now I have to select my color before I start coloring anything, so I'm going to come all the way over to my default tray, and I want this to stay open, so I'm going to click on my thumbtack there for my default tray to remain open. I also have to find my colors now, so that will be under Materials. Open up the Material section, and you might need to change the drop down to Colors. Now you have an array of colors here. Like I said, the top and bottom of this cube are going to be green, so select any green in this color palette. And now when we come over, we can click on the top, and I'm going to rotate to the bottom by holding down my scroll wheel. Click again. So now I've got the top and bottom green. Okay, now the next we're going to have the front and back red. So to make sure that we're at the front and back, I'm going to use my view toolbar. There's our ISO, there's the top, and this is the front. So I'm going to click there to make sure I'm on the front of my cube, and that's going to be red. So we have to go find our red color. Any red will do. We're going to click on the front, and you can either scroll around to the back or you can use the view toolbars and flip to the back and color that also. That way I know I'm exact on my front and back being red. For the left and right side, the ones remaining, or you can use the cubes also, those are going to be blue. So find the blue color palette as we scroll through. Your choice on the blues. Select the right, and I can rotate around and select the left. So now, as we rotate through our cube, we see that all sides are colored, everything except the center. If I change my ISO, I can see the center. If you'd like to color the center, you can. I'm just going to leave it as gray. One more thing, students. We need to turn our object into a group so it's easier to use later. If you notice, when you click on one side of our box, it just selects that side. And up at the entity info, it says it is a face. If we double click that side, it now has the face and our 4 edges highlighted, and it tells us that we have 5 entities. If we triple click, it should select the entire object, and in this case it says it has 18 entities, all sides and all edges. Once you have everything selected, if we right click on our box, we can go to Make Group. That will make it all one object, and it will signify that into the entity info because it says it is a solid group in one model. If you click off of it, click back on it, you can double check. It still says it is one solid group. So please, at the end of making all of your 5 objects, turn each one into its own group so they're easier to use later. Make sure you resave, File, Save, and make sure you take a screenshot with the object selected so we can see it is highlighted with all blue edges signifying a group. Make sure you take a screenshot like that. Good luck.